Well, the Houston Astros are re-engaging with Alex Bregman. The Cubs are aggressively pursuing Ryan Presley. What's going on in the Astros world? Is Altuve moving positions? Let's talk about it on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Yainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411. That's Stros with the Z at on Facebook and on Instagram, and at Back to the Bullpen on YouTube, on Instagram, on iHeartRadio, where I am always positive, always Stros. And Eric, you sound like you're back to normal. Welcome.
Yeah,
back,
my face
Eric.
looks better. My voice is a little bit hoarse because I've been teaching all day, but yeah, feeling a lot better. Antibiotics started working, so I'm glad because it was a rough 2 days. I didn't get to go play in snow. I didn't get to build a snowman like a lot of y'all did. But guys, thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you for making us your first listen. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started today. So I know that this is something that I've kind of been hinting at for the past week or so. I know that we had that Joe Espada interview by Nate Griffin, and he said, well, we haven't totally ruled out bringing Alex Bregman back. And I mentioned what a Hall of Famer by the name of Craig Biggio made his move to the outfield to make room for somebody who had to play second base in Jeff Kent. And so this is a situation where I still see it's very unlikely, but Alex Bregman, according to Bob Nightingale, and I know Chandler Rome later on said that he had 3 reports that the Astros have re-engaged with Alex Bregman. Nothing is on the verge of happening right now. But that what we know is that 6-year, $156 million offer is on the table. We don't know if the Astros are going to go up. So there are 2 serious offers on the table for Alex Bregman, whether it's from the Tigers, the Blue Jays, or another team. But what this means is Bregman is not, the grass is not greener on the other side. He's not getting the offers that he wants. And so according to Ari Alexander, there's mutual interest in coming back. The Astros want him back. And then you also have Bregman. He would like to come back as well. So one of the people that has been saying this whole time, I want Alex Bregman to come back, is Jose Altuve. So, of course, even before this Crichton tweet or what he did earlier about what Bob Nightingale said on his show, I was like, you know what? Jose Altuve wants this guy back so bad. Wouldn't he just say, hey, I'll go ahead and move to the outfield just so you can have him come back and play with us because we want him back.
Well, right. And so I want to get into that here in a second, but I want to sit and marinate on Bregman and, being still being on the table because he is a cornerstone of this franchise, and he has been. I see comments in here, and you guys have a right to your opinion. Some of y'all are saying tell Bregman to take a hike. I have a friend, Mark White, who said, this doesn't seem like team ball to me. When you're trying to squeeze an extra $50 million out of teams, you don't seem like a team player to me. So there's a lot of optics that I think people will have to overlook, and Bregman probably understands that. What we can't do is we can't fault Alex Bregman for testing the market. Mm-hmm. His agent's job is projecting the market. And if his agent said, Alex, you're going to get $200 million, Alex puts his trust in, I almost said Bob Nightingale. Alex puts his trust and Scott Boras. Okay. And so Scott Boras says, okay, these are the teams. This is what we want. Okay, where are the offers? And Bregman's like, where are the offers? Well, we're not really getting as many offers. And I said from the beginning that his market was inflated by his agent. Now, I don't know this 100%, but it seems like it, because you would think by now, Alex Bregman, who just won his first Gold Glove, would be off the market, would have gone to the Tigers, would have gone to the Red Sox, would have gone to the Blue Jays, heck, would have gone to the Yankees. I'm just saying, like, he would have gone. And so with Alex Bregman back, like Rome said, and like you mentioned earlier, just to reiterate, they haven't upped the offer. There's no evidence that they've offered him more money. The offer still stands. So right now, Eric, it's probably the best offer he's been offered, because other teams were possibly looking at 2 or 3 year deals. This is at least a 6-year deal. And maybe you work in a 7th team option. Maybe you defer salary, because look, I just read Santander's contract, and he's got money deferred every year of his contract. Maybe the Astros do that. But I also think another thing is, that we'll talk later, is pending on whether Presley agrees to not be bullheaded and let the Astros trade him.
Yeah. And I know that the initial deal that was offered to Alex Bregman was $26 million per season. So I know that if you look at Spotrac has him making his AAV should be around $30 million. So that's probably what Boris probably said. Hey, we think you can get this maybe for, I think we could go 6 years, $30 million per year. But he's not getting that. And so if he would have got what he wanted, he would be on a team right now. So what he is seeing is he's probably got a team, maybe like the Tigers, that's willing to go multiple years, but just not willing to give him the AAV. You have a team like maybe the Red Sox that's willing to give a high AAV, maybe even the Cubs that high AAV, but just not multiple years. So it's just, you've got a situation where you have, you're trying to see what's out there. And it's just not as good as what you thought you would get, like you said. And so why not to go back home and say, hey, guys, are y'all still interested? I know you replaced me. I know you got a third baseman. I know you got a first baseman now, but is there any way that I could still come home? And you know that he's probably been in conversations with Jose Altuve this whole offseason. Man, I think I messed up here. And Altuve's like, you know what? If you want to come back here, I'll go to the outfield. I've done it. I'm a team player. I know Sid Brings stands for team, but I'm sure Jose Altuve would stand for team and do this.
Well, right. No. And if you remember, Jay Roberts brought up some history with second basemen and people taking different positions. And he was talking about whenever they brought in Jeff Kent right here, this would be history repeating itself. With the Astros, Gold Glover Craig Biggio moved to center field for Jeff Kent. He wasn't horrible out there, and Kent was fantastic. Jose has a better arm than Jake as well. So you put Jose in left field. Also tonight, Eric, I don't know if you saw this, but according to Ari Alexander at the Astros Caravan, Yordan Alvarez said that at the end of the season, he did hurt his knee, but he didn't require surgery, but he's feeling 100%, and that he's been at 100% for about 4 weeks now. So that's a good sign. And that, I think, is another reason why they've been shopping in left field. Everybody's like, why do you want to do that? Well, because you have a guy, and I've even heard Josh Reddick talk about it on Chandler Rome's podcast, that you want someone else out in the outfield. Jose Altuve did say, because I just cleared it up with Patrick Crichton. He told me Bob Nightingale came on the radio, and Bob Nightingale said it was Altuve who suggested the move to left field. I thought that was a speculative comment, but apparently Bob Nightingale's reporting that as that's what happened. And so that's what Patrick Crichton just confirmed to me from Sports Radio 610. I may do a little small, like 2 or 3 minute clip of them from Sports Radio 610, so you can hear that if you weren't able to hear it on our channel later on. But Eric, this is an ultimate team player move. And this is the guy that Jose Altuve wanted to come back. And you and I talked about it. He'd never campaigned for Carlos Correa like he campaigned for Alex Bregman. This lineup with all these guys in it in one time it's going to be like a bomb lineup, dude. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, well, guys, we're going to have to continue this conversation. What did Bob Nightingale hint that it could look like Jose Altuve's playing time in left field? We'll go and talk about this and more on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Olympics. The same goes for having strategy like life insurance. If you go to SelectQuote, they have protection for you for financial legacy to keep your family winning. It makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage for 40 years. That's right, since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers, they offer one-size-fits-all policies. Their licensed agents tailor the coverage to fit you. It's not just you have to take this or that. They give you options, and they give you same-day coverage up to $5 million, no medical exam required, and it's more affordable than you'd think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon. Go to selectquote.com/lockedon today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedon. SelectQuote, they shop, you save.
So basically, SelectQuote is basically like Jose Altuve moving to the outfield. He will do whatever you need to be done.
Jose
And that's
Altuve
what
is the SelectQuote player of the game.
yes,
Hey,
basically what
that could be a thing, Eric.
right.
You know what? We should see if we could get some extra ad fundage. Let's have a SelectQuote player of the game. I would love that.
All right,
I'm going to email Mr. Locke tomorrow.
All right, this is what Bob Nightingale said on the Crichton show. He said the idea of Altuve willing and volunteering to play left field. He would share left field and DH duties with Alvarez, with Altuve probably playing 100 games in left field and Alvarez playing 50 games in left field. So basically, they'll be splitting with Altuve playing a lot more time in the outfield. And a lot of people might say, well, Altuve has never played left field. He's never played outfield. He actually has. He has played the outfield. You remember when the team used to shift a lot? So he would play in short center field, in short right field. So he would actually make some pretty good plays out there. So he may not have the super strong arm, but I don't think he's going to embarrass anybody out there in outfield. And if he's willing, he's not going to do this unless Jose Altuve thinks he can do it. So if he could do it, if he's going to put his heart, mind, and soul into this, I'm all for it. And we've seen we've seen Craig Biggio do this. We've seen Lance Berkman make the move to the outfield.
Yeah.
If the big Puma can go out there and play center field, then I'm sure Jose Altuve can go out there and play left field.
The big Puma had Towles Hill in the way. Yeah. And I was at the game where he made the famous catch where he fell. So listen to this. Someone said Paredes to the outfield. Absolutely not. Yeah. This is why you put Paredes at second. Paredes has 53 major league starts at second base. That is a lot more than pretty much anybody else that you are going to have to move because he's the only guy you're moving. You're not moving Jeremy Peña. Okay. Jeremy Peña is staying at shortstop, elite arm there at shortstop. But man, dude, I'm telling you, this lineup, Eric, think about the lineup, guys and girls. Altuve, Bregman, Paredes, Christian Walker, Yordan Alvarez, Yainer Diaz, Jose Altuve. I mean, that's 7. You got 2 guys in the outfield, Chaz and Jake, who I don't think will be in the outfield all season. But here's the thing. And to acquiesce slowly into the Presley discussion, you have a plethora of utility players. You have Dubon, you have Caratini. Maybe McCormick has some value. In order to move Presley, if he says, okay, go ahead, maybe the Cubs also want a player because they're taking on that $14 million. So you sweeten the deal with the Dubon, or you sweeten the deal with a Caratini. You sweeten the deal with someone that can be a utility player for them. And then you just tell the Cubs in return, we want one of your top 30 prospects. Yeah. Take on all the money. We just want a top 30. We don't need a top 10. You can go for their number, I think the number 10 guy, number 6 guy, but they already gave us the lower of the two that we wanted. So you can tell them, hey, we wanted this other guy. You gave us Cam Smith, who we're happy with, but you didn't give us the top guy. I think it was Shaw. And so there are a couple other guys out there that the Astros could look at. And one of them, this kid's name escapes me. I've got to look at Mr.
While you're looking that up real quick, Brett, Presley does have a no trade clause. I know that Bob Nightingale tweeted earlier that he is close to being traded to the Cubs. The Astros and Cubs may have maybe reached an agreement on a deal, but ultimately Presley has to agree on that because of the 10-5 rights. So he has no trade rights, so he can say yes or no to any team. So I from what I've heard, he would be open to likely being traded somewhere, but it just depends on where, and it just depends on I guess nothing can really happen until Presley gives the okay. So the Astros would be basically trying to save $14 million there. That's the whole reasoning for this. So that $14 million you can throw at Alex Bregman. You can throw at somebody else, not Jurickson Profar. We'll have to talk about that in a little bit. But this is definitely a situation.
So Eric, earlier, I was looking at the timeline. At 4:30, Cubs are on the verge of acquiring Presley. At 5:30, Presley has no trade clause and must approve. And then you had Rome, you had McTaggart. Ryan Presley is still a Houston Astro. He has not been traded. And I was like, guys, he didn't say he's been traded. He said he's on the verge of being traded. I'm like, everybody in Houston kind of was offended by Bob Nightingale's tweet. Now, this is the trade scenario that my friend Mark shared with me, and I want to share it with y'all. Okay, so here it goes. Cubs take on Presley's remaining salary, they get the Cubs number 5, James Tarantios, I think, which he was blocked earlier. The Cubs get setup man Presley, utility man Mauricio Dubon, Zach Cole, and John Garcia. Zach Cole they just signed. John Garcia is a lower level prospect catcher. That's not a bad move for that number 5 guy. That number 5 guy, this guy can mash, dude. This guy can hit. And he had like a 1,200 OPS this last year. So, I mean, that's a guy that you could go after. Now, obviously, someone said Shaw isn't happening. No, I wasn't suggesting that Shaw was going to be traded. I'm just saying he was the guy they were really wanting. But you're right. Presley has to approve it. Now, here's my question to you, Eric. If you're Ryan Presley and you've been demoted and you've been shopped all offseason, why wouldn't you want to go to the Cubs? You got Kyle Tucker there. You got a pretty good squad in Chicago. It's not like you're being thrown to the Wolves and going to Miami. What kind of year is he going to have if he's not traded?
Yeah. I don't think that the Astros are likely going to trade Dubon. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing some type of package with the Cubs like that, but I think they're going to hold on to Dubon. I get what you're saying. They have a lot of utility guys. They have
a lot of utility guys, and it frees up cap room. If you get rid of Dubon, was Dubon 4.6 or is he 6 million?
I don't know off the top of my head. No.
Okay, so he was between 4 and 6. Okay, I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. So you free up 20 million, at least 20 million, between 18 and 22 million with them leaving. And I think Dubon, as much as he's been endeared, as much as he's been endeared by the Houston Astros fans, Eric, he makes the most sense. You don't want to get rid of Caratini. He's part of your battery. And I don't know that anybody else holds the value that he does, utility-wise. I mean, you could maybe try to sell Pedro Leon in his hot bat at the end of the season in AAA, but he still hasn't come through. So you got a lot of guys that are on the cusp. No one wants Hummel. No one wants Taylor Trammell. They're going to want Dubon because Dubon is a gold glover. Dubon can hit. So I guess we'll have to see, dude.
They're saying that Dubon got 5 million, so I believe
5 million.
that's
Okay, I knew it was between 4 and 6. I just couldn't remember the exact number.
Something else to keep in consideration, kind of getting back to the Jose Altuve talk, is that moving to the outfield could potentially save his body a little bit, because playing second base, you do have to throw your body around a little bit, and he's getting a little bit older, and we want to make sure we save him for the latter years of his contract too. So maybe moving him to the outfield would be a good move. So this is all the things that take into consideration. So I'm sure that yes, he does want to keep his buddy Bregman in, but at this point, Profar is no longer here. Santander is no longer here. So your options for the outfield are thinning. So maybe this is your last option. We're going to continue this discussion on the Locked On Astros podcast.
Well, it looks like to me that 451 of y'all have tuned in. And let me tell you, from the first whistle to the final drive, if this is your first time on Locked On Astros, let me tell you about FanDuel. It makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and a variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, because we all know you're betting against Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Hey guys, thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. And I know somebody just said that, well, they wanted Profar, but Profar got 4 years. He actually got 3 years, $42 million. So the Braves are only paying him $12 million for 2025 and $15 million for each of 2026 and 2027. So that's $42 million. That's not a lot for what, if Profar could give the Braves what he gave them last year with the Padres, that's a bargain. And I think that if the Astros really, really, truly wanted to, they could have offered that to Profar, and he would have probably come and played with the Houston Astros. But what I think likely is the case here is the Astros have safeguarded themselves. They have they've covered their butts at third base. They have covered their butts at first base. Now they're waiting for the outfield, and this could be a potential for how to fix the outfield is if they did re-sign Alex Bregman, which Bob Nightingale did say is still doubtful or unlikely.
Yeah,
but this is just the option.
And so that, Eric, that's what's tough. But let me remind everybody about this, because I have to remind myself of this. As much as I love this team, as much as I'm fanatical about this team, I try to stay even keel. Eric, you know I do. I try to hold it in, right? I try not to be a homer. And sometimes I get accused of being a homer all the time. That's fine with me. As long as my last name's not Simpson, I'm cool with that. But what I see and what I hear, what I hear is not always what I see. Like, I hear they are engaged. They're actively engaged. And let me remind you, if I have the number of an agent and I call him and ask him about Bregman, have you been in contact with the Astros about Alex Bregman? Yes, we have. Boom, tweet. The Astros and Alex Bregman are still talking. Well, how far does that go? What does that mean? And so we have to take everything with a grain of salt. But I tell you why I think something is imminent to happen with Bregman within the next 7 days is because the first full squad workout is the 19th for the Houston Astros. Alex Bregman, your classic slow starter, does not want to get into camp late wherever he goes. I think Alex Bregman breaks. I think Alex Bregman tries to hold on and realizes, dude, I can go back to a team that has one hell of a lineup. And we may be short in the areas of relief pitching with the hopes of Van Way, Whitley, these guys from AAA coming and helping out. But you're not addressing the relief pitching issue. If you lose Presley, who are you going to get to replace him? And so will be some question marks. The bullpen then will become your weak spot, which may become the focus during the trade deadline when it comes midseason, and hopefully you're leading the AL West.
To kind of be a Debbie Downer about all this, this could also be Scott Boras leaking things to Bob Nightingale and to other people to try and get the Tigers to up their ante, to try to get the Blue Jays, other teams to up their ante.
Well, okay, so I just don't know. The Tigers have not seemed really that interested in Alex Bregman. I've literally heard nothing. Now, you're right. Guys run interference, guys leak things.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, Eric, that actually makes my point earlier. That actually reinforces it. Like, all these things we hear, we don't really know. We don't really know. Like, that's why I would love to be a fly on the wall. That's why I would love to have, inside sources. But the thing is, there are people that probably know what is closer to actually happening than not, but they're not allowed to say, because you can't be tampering and all that stuff. And, Profar, I would have loved to get him on that deal. I think Profar, I looked at some numbers from someone earlier who was looking at the projections of Profar from the season that he had. And he's actually projected to be a really good player over the next few years. He literally jumped. I mean, he dropped his K rate by 2%. He upped his walk percentage by 3 points. He upped his xWOBA, his XW. His WOBA, his xWOBA. His O swing percent was down. His whiff percent was down. I mean, everything went in the right direction. Okay.
Yeah.
And all projections show that Profar with the right lineup is going to do some damage. And maybe the Astros all along have known that Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve are going to be reunited after all.
Yeah, so I think that it's always been a option, and so I think that Bregman's just looking around, trying to figure out what's out there. He hasn't found a mate, so to speak, that he's willing to get in a relationship with for the next 5 to 7 years. So why not come back home? Why not come back where he's comfortable? And I've seen a lot of people say, well, why don't you move Paredes to the outfield? Why don't you, if Bregman comes back, why don't you move him to the outfield? Because you're not going to get Bregman to come back here to play the outfield. So
no,
that's not the way you sell it. Hey, if you come back here, we're going to move you to the outfield.
Have you watched, like, who would say that? How would you move Bregman anywhere? Yeah. Bregman's a third baseman, plain and simple. Now, I did see him play a game in center field when he was at LSU, but that was LSU. That's when he was a freshman in college. Yeah. He's ages away from that. And look, he's 31, Eric, 32. He's not getting any younger. Bregman, you better take this deal. Jose, hey, you can cheer for Altuve in left field. You imagine the fan interaction out there between him and Jordan. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, well, why don't you put Bregman at shortstop? He did play shortstop at LSU, but he's kind of an older player now. He could technically make that transition back, but he's more of a third baseman at this point of his career. Most shortstops transition to third base at this age, unless they're just really athletic. And I'm not saying Bregman's not, but I just don't think that that's an option for him unless a team desperately needs a shortstop. But he's been marketed as a third baseman, as a second baseman. He has not been marketed as a shortstop. So I don't think that's the option to move Jeremy Peña to the outfield. So I've seen that in chat too.
Now, with the Cubs, going back to Preston real quick, we could go for an Alcantara or someone like that. But hey, Alec asked us, are the Astros division contenders? Let me tell you this. They have the second highest projected WAR in 2025, behind only the Dodgers, the super team. So if they're projected to have the second highest WAR in 2025, I think the AL West is clearly what the floor is, and then everything else is icing on the cake. Now, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I'm saying that we are in a division that sets up nicely for the Astros to win. The starting pitching is good. The relief pitching needs a little help. The back end of the bullpen is good. If we get Bregman back, that shores up. I mean, dude, that's 7 hitters, man. This lineup, dude, if they're all hitting at the same time, can you imagine what's going to happen at Minute Maid? I'm sorry, Daikin Park?
You know who's getting nervous right now? Bryce Matthews. Because if Bregman comes back, he's going to be like,
Bryce has got a couple more years to wait.
Where am I going to play? I can't play second base. I can't play third base. I can play shortstop. I guess I'm going to learn how to play outfield too. So,
definitely.
It's a good thing to have too many people that could play infield positions, because if somebody gets injured, you can always move somebody there. So I don't know if this will happen, but this is something, especially with Joe Spada earlier this week or last week, saying that they are still talking to Alex Bregman. This was before we knew all this stuff. So if for Joe Spada to say, yes, we are talking to multiple free agents, including Alex Bregman, I believe him. And they want him back. He is not only a leader, but he's a friend with a lot of these players on the team. This is his home. Yes, he might have already sold his loft or whatever he had, but I'm sure he can buy a new one if he wants to.
Dude, Alex Bregman's got more money than he is. Not only is he a professional ball player, he also comes from a family that wasn't very. They weren't hurting financially. His dad was an attorney. He also owns horses. Yeah. Alex Bregman, money is not an issue for him. I promise you, he has generational. I'm sure Knox and his newest born child, they're going to be set, and their children's children are going to be set. But here's the deal, and I'll wrap it up on this. The Houston Astros, and Eric, you were questioned. Lights Out said they've already marketed Bregman as a three position player. But what Eric and I are saying is, if you bring Alex Bregman back, you're not bringing him back to play second base and put Paredes at third, because Paredes is not better than Alex defensively at third base. You're not going to do that. That's the difference. Man, Eric, we've had over 500 people watching us at one time. I would love everyone to like us. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. If something breaks this weekend, we may have to break in,
Yeah, and guys, if the Red Sox can't get Alex Bregman to sign over there, and all the other teams can't, then why not come back to Houston? Yes, it's going to create a weird rotation, but we've done it before. We've had the Big Puma play center field. We've had Craig Biggio do it. So why not? If Jose Altuve is open to it, and what Bob Nightingale has said, that he's open to it, why not give it a shot? I mean, you can always try. If it doesn't work,
the GOAT has spoken. The GOAT has spoken. Let the man have his Alex Bregman back. Give him his Alex Bregman. Please, Lord. Bring home Alex Bregman. And I know y'all want to boo him and stuff because you think he's out for the money. You would do the same thing. If you thought you were going to get $200 million, you wouldn't be like, I'm going to take a hometown discount. Don't even play that game with me, because none of us make that kind of money. And if I had the opportunity, I'm sorry, folks, I would.
Guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Brett will go ahead and do a small one. I think you said you're going to do with Bob Nightingale's.
I've got to extract the audio, and I'll put a little something together. If it's not up tonight, I'll put it up tomorrow.
Okay, guys, thank you for making us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. If you're just now joining us, go ahead and watch the entire show. Go and give us a big fat thumbs up, and we will see you next time. And like Brett said, if anything happens, we'll go ahead and jump in. Even during my tomorrow, we'll go ahead and talk about that. I mean, no, not tomorrow, on Saturday. So.
Okay.
I'm losing track of days, but anyway, that's all we got. We'll see you on Sunday. Go Astros.
Go Astros. Did you just whisper something?